Good morning, everybody. Just a little update and part 2 on what we're doing here with the outhouse. We're going to be working on that here in this episode. I'm taking out the screws today because I have been reminded that Nelson Creek Farm is all about the antique or vintage way of living here on the farm. It is a homestead, and modern conveniences in an outhouse that I mentioned in the first video weren't available when this was built. What am I talking about? A great big old plastic urinal to hang on the wall in here is what the plan was, and it's related piping going down into the pit that sits underneath where you sit. So we're going to eliminate that because I was reminded that restoration means returning to a factory original condition or like new. Well, a lot of people claim a lot of things are restored and they're all modified and whatnot. We are going to use as much original lumber in this as we can and whatnot. So, stands to reason, drop the thing on the wall. So, guys, you're going to have to hang around with your wang out. And there you have it, 4 foot along the sides and 5 foot widthwise. And now we're going to go down to the old outhouse and remove the floorboards, bring them up and put them in. It's nothing too ceremonious about what I'm doing here. It's just a matter of getting it taken apart. In fact, we may just peel this right clean out of the bottom of this here. Yeah. So, we're going to reuse these boards that are reusable, and the ones that aren't, like this one right here, it's split down the middle, so we'll probably toss that and replace it with a new one. But the ones we can use, by golly, we're going to at the price of the new lumber these days. Alright, that little quick video is me installing the 2x6 as the center floor support for the boards to attach to stand on or sit on, as the case may be, as you're in the outhouse. As I mentioned previously, several of these old floorboards aren't worth reusing, so I think what we'll do is we'll put 2 of the originals on the outside edges. There won't be very many people standing on that part of the floor. So, yeah. We'll put the 2 of the old originals out here, put 3 new ones in the middle, just so we know what we got, what we're dealing with. Now here's another little something I discovered while I was measuring up the old board to be cut. It is right down here. That is an actual 1-inch by 12-inch wide board. These new ones are 11.5. So, right here, we have a 1/2-inch wide gap difference. So, times 6 boards across there, we're going to have several inches of gap. So what I'm going to have to do is cut 2 new boards and center in between them the center of the side-by-side dimension, if you follow what I'm getting at, and then build from the center line of the floor out to the edge walls. And then we'll have to use spacers there. There's part of the floor done for the outhouse, and I know some of you are probably going, why are you using screws, those things, to put that floor together with? The outhouse is going to be moved from the porch to its final sitting spot, plus it may be moved once or twice thereafter to clean out the pit or whatever, where everything drops into. So because it's going to move, I elected to use screws, an epoxy coated construction screw in the framework construction of the outhouse, just to help hold it together and solid and be more rigid. I'm doing the same with the floor because that's going to help hold everything square. Yes, I still plan on using the original floorboards as part of the floor. However, I'm going to have to trim up the ends and shorten it, make it narrower to fit inside the frame rails. So that's going to be okay. I've got new boards where you're going to be actually walking on. Nobody will be actually walking out here on the outside, or at least I wouldn't think, or putting much weight out here. So these old boards will work just fine for the edges of this. Yeah. Alrighty, boys and girls, there you are. The floor's done. Now to get on with building the walls. Yeah, that's coming up. Hang on. Gotta have a few potty jokes. Good morning, everybody. It is the second day we're filming for the Outhouse Restoration for this video. It is a beautiful Tuesday, July the 6th, and yeah, getting some measurements on the door here, and we're going to put in some walls today, and looks like we're going to have to probably rebuild the door too while we're at it. So looks like I'm going to need to make a trip back to the lumber yard tomorrow and pick up some more boards. We're running out. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll get right on it, so stay tuned. I started rethinking my plans a little bit for different heights and whatnot for a sign. Well, the sign will actually fit over here on this side. It's only 18 inches wide. This says outhouse on it, but we're going to have a 2-foot space here. There's going to be a pair of 1x12s on the front here, and then there'll be the door, and then a 1x12 over on this side. Well, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, gosh, I can just remove these old panels off the old outhouse, the sides and the back, and just rebuild the front of it, because the boards on the front are pretty bad. I don't know how bad the ones are in the back where it fell over on it yet, but I managed to get this side panel off, and I think what we're going to do is just trim up the dry rod across the bottom of them, set it up a little bit off of the floor, so it's a little bit proud of the floor. Keep these 1x12s off the ground so they don't rot anymore. And then I'll screw them to the floor, and then we'll do the back and the other wall, and then we'll build the front. So yeah, we're just going to reutilize what we got. I even got Granddad's old ash can from when he was smoking. He'd sit in there, and that's where cigarettes would go. So for the family members that remember that, we're going to even save the old tuna can. I went to the zoo on the 4th of July for something to do, and I was looking at all the displays and the cages and pins and stuff, and I saw one cage that had a piece of toast in it. And I thought about it for a minute, and the zookeeper was standing there, so I asked her. I said, "What's with the toast in the cage?" And she goes, "Oh, that's bred in captivity." Yeah. Well, this is some of the dry rot that has been cut off of the bottom of the boards of the back of the outhouse. Yeah, that's just from years of being sitting on the dirt. So what we've done is I have gone from 69 inches top to bottom, which I'm assuming was the original height of about 6'9", which would be 69 inches. And what I cut off of there is right at about 3 inches of that, so we're down to 66 inches. So I have some boards that we can use. Seriously? Oh yeah? Really? So anyway, I have some boards that we can use to prop up the back end of that, because I did use 2x6s in the framework, anticipating having to trim some of that up because it was originally 2x4s. So I knew the walls were going to be up a little bit, proud of the ground level of the bottom of the framework. So not a huge issue. We're going to get this back wall flipped up, put a board under it to space it, and then we're going to get it screwed to this back wall so it's upright and vertical and square with the back. Then we can do the same with the sides, and then we'll be done with that part. Alrighty, there is the back wall more or less in position and anchored. I do have it braced for a minute just because. Safety thing. One thing I did notice on this after I cleaned it up and got her put up is, yeah, that's an old roll of toilet paper still hanging on a wire deal that Granddad Richard had made years and years ago to hold the toilet paper in this thing. More recently, I went to a 1-gallon metal paint can, so I think that's what we're going to continue to use to put the toilet paper in, just to keep the creepy crawlies out of it. Yeah, you don't want to wipe something and have something crawling up on you. Ooh, yuck. Now, in order for me to find the 66-inch measurement from the top edge here on this corner down to the bottom, what I'm going to have to use is an old square. Set it right along the edge of that last 1x12 right here, and line it up even with the 2x4 that runs along here, because there's bit of busted wood here and here. So anyway, I've got it lined up there. I'm eyeballing it. This isn't the Waldorf Astoria or your fancy $10 million home. This is just an outhouse. So if the thing measurements aren't quite 100% right, we're okay. But what I've done is I've got that square along the edge there, flush. This line that I'm drawing here gives me the 66-inch height mark from this point here to the bottom. So anything I measure coming off of this line down to the other end should be 66 inches. And we'll double check all that a time or two across here to make sure it's square and whatnot. And then we'll measure that, cut, and then install this panel, and we'll do the same for on this side. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today's little video on working on the outhouse. Next up will be the door in the front, the seat section, and a roof. So stay tuned. This is part 2 of what's going to be a 4-parter video, looks like. So anyway, thank you for watching. Don't forget to click right down there on the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up, thumbs down. Let us know what you think of the whole restoration process in the comments. And don't forget to tell your friends and family about us. So if you like homesteading and rural lifestyle, make sure you tell all your friends about it and click on subscribe. Means a lot. Catch up with you later. I'm Farmer Dave. Y'all have a good one now. Bye-bye.